Now we're going to address the Queensland team. Obviously, there's been a few changes to that New South Wales lineup that will be put up as a clip on my YouTube channel and Instagram page and Facebook page in the next few days. So check out those links if you haven't already. So there'll be a few changes to those lineups. There's a few suspensions and injuries and stuff like that I didn't take into account at the time because I obviously can't predict the future. But I'll be chatting about my Queensland team today, going through 1 to 17, talking about who's stiff, what I think should happen. Obviously, I know more about the New South Wales team. As a fan of New South Wales, I take more interest in the New South Wales players and stuff like that. And there's probably more options to choose from in the New South Wales team. So this team's a little bit harder, but I used the selector on the NRL website, which made it pretty easy. So fullback, I've got Ponga. I just think I just trust him to have more impact on the game than Brimson. Yeah, Brimson might make a break here or there, but I just think Ponga will be a threat throughout the whole 80 minutes. So I've got Ponga fullback. On the wings, I've got Coates and Holmes. I think I saw some people with Coates and Felt, but I just think Holmes has been in really, really good form for the Cowboys. I know he's a fullback in the league and he hasn't played wing. Well, he's played a bit of wing at the Cowboys, but hasn't really been a winger since his time at the Sharks. But we saw when he used to play Origin that he would always kill it on the wing. He's fast. I can't see why I couldn't be like a bit of a Brian To'o. So I'll have him on the wing. And then Coates is obviously just a beast, and his height will challenge the New South Wales wingers. Gagai and Capewell on the centres. Last year, I think Branko Lee might have played. Obviously, he's not really in contention this year as he's been injured. But, yeah, Gagai's the obvious one of Queensland's best players in the last 5 years. And then there's not really another centre in contention, in my opinion. So Kurt Capewell will do a job there again. In the halves, so breaking news today is that Cameron Munster might not be fit for State of Origin, which would be a massive blow, as I believe he was the only reason they won the competition, the series last year. So he would be my 6 if he's fit. If he is injured, look, I think they would pick someone like a Ben Hunt, or I don't think they would pick Corey Norman. There's honestly not many options. What I would actually do is, I know he's never played there in his life, I don't think, but I'd legit pick Kalen Ponga and play him at 5'8" and pick Brimson at fullback. Huge risk playing someone out of position in State of Origin, but I just think Ponga and Brimson are that good. It'd be good to get them into the 17 together, into the starting 13. And I don't think the options to partner Cherry Evans so Cherry Evans is obviously the halfback, so I don't think the other options to partner him are that interesting. So I'll legit do that. But if they're going to go with a half, I'd probably just pick Ben Hunt. He's a reliable performer. He can tackle all that stuff. So, and then I've got Christian Welch and Jai Arrow, my starting props. Reid Marnie, I'm going to start him at hooker. I listened to the Kempy and Cameron Smith captain's run on SEN Sydney last week, and I completely agree with Cameron Smith. Maybe I did listen to him and then agree with him after he made his points, but he said they should pick Reid Marnie and then bring Grant off the bench, which I think is a good idea. Grant hasn't played much football this year, hasn't started any games, I don't believe, so let alone playing the 80. So I think him playing 80 in State of Origin would be way too much to ask for and would potentially limit his impact because he'd be, more worried about stamina. So I think playing Marnie, bringing Grant on, even if you bring him on early, like 20-minute mark, and you can sort of manage the subs. You can manage when you take him on and off. I just don't think 80 minutes is good for Harry Grant at the moment with his fitness levels. So I've got Marnie starting, Grant off the bench. Then in the back row, I've got David Fifita, and then I'm actually picking Jaden Sewer. I know Felice Kafusi's been there in the last few years, and most people have picked him there, but especially with the new rules, I think Jaden Sewer is one of the only enforcers that I trust that he won't get sim-binned or anything. He's one of the best tacklers in the game. Might not provide that much in attack, but I can't see what Kafusi brings to the table that Sewer doesn't. So I'd pick Sewer. Then I've got Tino Fasua-Malawi in at lock. He's been really pretty good at the start of the season for the Titans. And yeah, he'll be there. And then as I mentioned, I got Grant at 14. Now that makes it tough because usually the 14 is the utility. So you'd have Brimson in at 14. But what I would actually consider, if Munster plays, obviously I said if Munster's out, I would have Brimson fullback, Ponga 6. But if Munster plays, I would actually just consider Grant and Brimson both on the bench. I think most Origin forwards, I know it's a very taxing game, and I think most of them are very fit, so I wouldn't be too worried about having 3 or 2 forwards on the bench. So I'd be tempted to go Grant, Brimson, then I'd have Mo Fodawaker on the bench as well to rotate with the props, and then I'd also have Felice Kafusi as a bit of a back row option. So that's my team, but if you don't want Brimson on there because of Grant being on there, so Grant's my number one priority, then if you don't want another utility on there, I would pick Jared Wallace, but we're starting to clutch at straws there. Josh Papali is obviously the big out through suspension, but very intrigued to see what happens with Cameron Munster. I do think if he is out, the New South Wales chances of victory do skyrocket, because I think without Munster, they go from being a very dangerous team just a very solid team with a couple dangerous players. So, that's, good news for a New South Wales fan, not good news for a rugby league fan, as you want to see all the best players fit and firing for State of Origin. But, at this point, I'll do anything for a New South Wales dub. But let me know what you think of that Queensland team. Let me know who you'd be picking. And if I've missed or forgotten anyone or dogged anyone, let me know.
It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.